Jiro here from Umbra Games with a review of Until Dawn, Supermassive Games teen slasher, horror, interactive movie game featuring the cheerleader and Mr. Robot. I had to do a little research on British developer Supermassive Games because I haven't really been aware of much of their work, which includes some Little Big Planet 1 and 2 DLC, remastering of Killzone, and a few other things I hadn't heard of, most of which have been exclusive to the PlayStation consoles. Until Dawn has 8 teens revisiting the isolated mountain cabin on the anniversary of the death of 2 sisters, family to one of the characters and friends to the rest, to party in memory of their passing. It's not long after everyone arrives that the group begins to face overused horror tropes by the boatload in their effort to survive until dawn. I'll keep the story commentary as generic as possible without giving specific spoilers, and I'll work to keep the video out of context and spoiler-free. There probably will be some displays of graphic violence, so viewer discretion is advised. All 8 characters are playable at one time or another in the game's 10 chapters, and you're in control of their fate, literally whether they live or gruesomely die. The game boasts its butterfly effect storytelling, offering several moments of choice that set the characters down a path to their narrow survival or likely demise. Characters have personality stats and relationship rankings to other characters, but it's kind of difficult to tell how much they took effect over the course of the game. I enjoy experiencing interactive movie games like this a bit more with company rather than solo, and Yellow King 09 was about to start this game on his own, so we decided for a local controller passing playthrough, consulting each other on most decisions, while laughing at a lot of the ridiculousness that was thrown our way. Gameplay consists of navigating through a selected portion of the environment at a time, with the currently selected character. You look for shiny objects to interact with and people to talk to. Several moments of investigation as well as moments of panic are accompanied by quick time events, moving the sticks in a required pattern or pressing a button before a timer runs out. Conversations also present you with binary options on how to react. Weapon wielding moments have you moving your crosshair to the appropriate place and pressing the button, or you can choose not to do anything at your own peril. As they say though, sometimes what you don't do can be just as important as what you do. There are a series of collectible totems you can find on the ground, as well as clues scattered throughout the chapters that I would believe have some outcome on the flow of the game, but without documenting the evidence and going for a second playthrough, I couldn't really say for sure. We did see some of the choices though we made rear their heads later in the game, and often we had doomed ourselves before we'd even gotten there. I do have to admit, I'm pretty selective about the horror I choose to watch because I often find the jump scare, stupid people, gore-crazy drivel that composes most of the genre to be pretty boring personally. And all those tropes have made it here. We have the bath taking with headphones on, the Ouija board giving startling information, the kids scaring each other when real danger is around, graphic, violent deaths, jump scares nearly every minute, and it wouldn't be complete without the couple going to an even further remote cabin to have sex when one of the several bedrooms in the main cabin should have served just perfectly. At some points it's difficult to tell whether or not Until Dawn is parodying the genre or just fully embracing it. Kind of makes it difficult to judge the target audience for the game. We're treated to some initially fun psychological examinations in between chapters that I'd kind of hoped would have more ties to the overall story and its outcome than it did. Looking back, there are still some pieces that don't feel like they quite fit together from the story, which could have just come from spreading the game out over a few weeks, or perhaps in some of the random decision-making, we'd wandered down a path or not found a clue that would have provided more context. Graphically, Supermassive did an impressive job, though, with the facial scans and motion capture. We're still in this uncanny valley, though, where the characters are very close to looking real, but still just not quite right enough to be a touch unsettling. Hayden Panettiere and Rami Malek gave very solid voice acting performances, and a tip of the hat goes to Peter Stormare as well for his over-the-top display as a psychiatrist Dr. Hill. I'm sure it's probably part of the plan and fits with the trope, but be prepared for hip, cool phrases to be used like the Bone Zone and unfriend and hashtag there's a freaking ghost after us. Other parts of the dialogue and voice acting are kind of poor quality, but once again I realize that's what some people go for in this content genre, the so bad it's good that I personally just don't subscribe to. As mentioned, the depth and intricacy of the story choices are really what makes this game shine. And actually, the more I think about it, the video I choose to show really isn't spoiler because it's possible you won't even be in the same situations that we were, should you choose to play the game. In fact, I still hold Yellow King responsible for one intentional death. On our playthrough, we had 2 people survive by the end. There was one death, Matt, where I felt like we got a bit cheated because I have no idea what contributed to his demise. Another death was a missed QTE on my part with no room for error. Another death, I'm not really sure how to avoid it all either. And during the final scene, there's a QTE where you have to hold the controller completely still as it uses the DualShock's gyro sensors, and I lost 2 people because it says I wasn't steady enough, and I totally disagree with that. But no, Yellow King, there's no forgiveness for what you did. Yes, she was annoying. Yes, she did talk too much and say stupid, prissy things.
Emily is always right.
But did she really deserve to die?
I'm really sorry.
So if you're a fan of the teen horror genre and enjoy the interactive movie games, Until Dawn is probably for you. Nice graphics, cool butterfly effect story, tons of replay value, solid performances by the big name actors. But again, 80% of gameplay is QTE, there are a lot of worn out tropes, some cheesy dialogue, and not quite as solid performances by the non-big name actors. Now, I've mentioned it before, but my quantitative rating system is genre-based. We don't expect the same things from a first-person shooter that we do a game like this. Rated as an interactive movie adventure title, Until Dawn hits an 80, by objectively breaking down the criteria that makes a game like this good, and subjectively assigning scores for each part. Things like the graphics, and the dialogue and voice acting quality, as well as the story, the choices and consequences mechanics, the control input, and the replayability. Keep in mind this is a true 0 to 100 scale, where 5 out of 10 on something would be average, not like a school grading system where anything below 60 is an F. I calculate that score either because it does nothing great or poorly necessarily, or there's enough annoyances on an otherwise great system that drags it down a bit. But as I've said before, I've hesitated putting in the quantitative score because it is arguable. The objective review hashtag I use is about providing indisputable, video-documented facts about how a game operates, and allowing you, the viewer, to make your own informed decision about a game and if it's right for you. The score is a relative, personal comparison. So do with it what you will. This is Jiro from Umbra Games. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for notifications of more objective reviews, or follow me on Twitter @Umbra Games.